Today's game, they selected the contract of right-handed pitcher Gabriel Enoa from AAA Norfolk. They designated Mike Wright for assignment. Mike Wright has been struggling, and the Orioles decided to go in a different direction, bringing up Enoa. Time right now to be joined by Roch Kubatko from MASNsports.com, School of Rock. Roch, this is a move that I think a lot of fans have probably anticipated. We were hoping that Mike Wright could get it right this year. Outside of that one appearance at Yankee Stadium when he picked up the save, we haven't had a lot from him this year.
Yeah, and the club's been really reluctant to part with him, as you know, because there was always that Jake Arrieta comparison. He's going to go somewhere else. Something's going to click. Someone's going to fix him. He's going to begin dominating like they expect him to do in Baltimore. And he was out of minor league options. They kept trying and trying, and finally really just ran out of time with him. They needed a fresh bullpen arm after he went 3 1/3 last night. We walked in the clubhouse this morning, the media, he was already packing up his locker. Never a good sign. And, Brandon Hyde said he felt really bad. He had a lousy morning having to call him in. He had to ride him really hard this past week. Out of need, he had to really take one for the team last night, and they needed somebody else. That's why they brought up Enoa, and they've just kind of run out of time with Mike right now. They could try and trade him. I think they'd really like if he just cleared waivers. They could keep him in the organization. They could work with him. But the ERA is over 9, the WHIP's over 2, and again, had a pretty good spring training, competed for a spot. The analytics seemed to be working for him. He was embracing the data that he had been receiving. And then when the season started, other than a couple appearances, it just still wasn't working for him. So they had to go ahead and, at least for now, cut ties with him. It's going to be a different bullpen without him because we're used to him. It can go ahead and slot into that role, but we're just used to Mike being here. But really, Rob, I've been interested just watching Brandon and seeing how he uses a bullpen his first time as a major league manager compared to past managers. And I think he's big in the pass the baton mentality. There have been some exceptions, like with Mike last night, at a need having to go 3 1/3. We see a lot of games where 3, 4, 5 relievers are used, even an 8-1 win in Boston. Sometimes out of necessity because guys are struggling. He has to go rescue them. I think sometimes, too, he just wants to keep guys available. So if you only throw 2/3 of an inning, you can reuse that guy again maybe the next night. He's trying not to abuse the bullpen too much, but he had 3 guys warming up, I think, in game 1 who didn't even pitch. At one point, he had Fry and Scott, 2 lefties warming together. In case they took the lead, he'd bring Fry in. They didn't. You bring in Scott. So he's doing some things differently than what we're used to. And I think some of it, again, is just because he's just looking for starters to start giving them length and not have to use the bullpen that much. And also kind of feeling his way through what roles they could handle and trying to get through 9 innings.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the state of the bullpen and where it's been. It's never a good sign when your first baseman makes an appearance in the 9th inning. You don't want to see that. We saw that last night with Chris Davis.
Right. I saw when no one was warming in the bullpen, and Brandon Klein, was coming out, I thought, for a 3rd inning. I'm like, wait a minute, they're really going to push this kid? No. Chris Davis walks to the mound. And Hyde wanted to get VR and Mancini off the field in the blowout and rest them, but he didn't want to use Davis. He wanted to give him the night off. He said, I'm not going to do it. Then all of a sudden, the game's getting out of hand. He needs a position player to pitch. He doubled back to Chris. Remember, it's only a 3-man bench. Chris was more than willing to do it. He actually enjoys it. He warmed up in the cage, indoor cage, with Renato Nunez, who said, I caught him. He's got good stuff. Davis went out there and actually was probably the most effective reliever on the night. He doesn't risk injury. He said he knows how to pitch from high school and college. He knows how to use his legs. He's not just all arm throwing as hard as he can, so he doesn't think there's a risk of blowing out the elbow or the shoulder. He did pretty well. Scope, of course, the former teammate, Jonathan Scope, homered off him. He was trying to groove one, hoping he would just yank it foul, kind of work him a little bit, and Jonathan gave him a chance to do that. But, it's another decent outing for Chris. It's good to know that he can be used, but it's funny that it started out game 2 where Brandon didn't want to use him at all. It ends up having to pitch him.
What's the deal with Nate Carnes and his injury update?
They would like to be able to pitch him in the major leagues, but he's still on his injury rehab assignment. He was at Norfolk last night, only retired 1 batter, gave up a 3-run homer against Charlotte, and he's back in Camden Yards today. They're going to go ahead, have the medical staff look at him again, see how he's doing. I think there's still just a little bit that lingering discomfort in his right forearm, and they're not obviously going to activate him until they know he's 100%. So he'll be checked by the medical staff. The plan was to have him throw an inning last night, have him throw another inning in a few days, and have him throw 2 innings, all with Norfolk, and then maybe activate him. But now they're going to have to maybe revisit that plan. They're going to reevaluate him. Again, they want to make sure that forearm's okay. It's not so much the results down there, maybe a little rusty. It's just how he felt during and after, and that's what they're checking.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a tough situation right now for that Oriole bullpen, but I'm sure Brandon Hyde will do the best he can to get through it. Right. Thanks a lot, Roch.
Thank
you.
You
can find Roch Kubatko at MASNsports.com, School of Roch. Yes, he tweets at 4 a.m. because my phone goes off with the notifications.